This is breaking news.
Good afternoon, I'm Dan Rice, live in Chopper 2 over LaGuardia Airport. You can see we're showing you the runway 422 at the airport. We're showing that to you because there's a big problem that developed here about 11 o'clock this morning. When you zoom down onto that number 4, you're going to see a big X closing down this runway. One of only 2 runways that LaGuardia is able to use. And the problem is up here at one of the intersections that they call Yankee, Taxiway Yankee, right where that crew is standing there. During an early morning inspection by the Port Authority, they noticed a hole that had developed on the taxiway right at the edge of runway 4. Now you can see the workers there trying to take care of that big hole in the roadway there, or the taxiway for the airport lingo, and you can see them trying to dig down into that hole and try to fix it. Now again, it's a routine inspection that they do every morning with the Port Authority of New York, New Jersey. They operate the airport, and of course, as soon as they found that was being determined or being called the sinkhole, they had to shut down the main runway there, runway 4. When this runway will reopen. Now, this is a big problem here at LaGuardia because when you have a problem at Newark and Kennedy airports, they have numerous runways that they can fall back on. Here at LaGuardia, they only have runway 422 that you see here off the nose of our helicopter, and then up at the top here, that's the second runway. It's runway 13/31. So usually what will happen is one of these runways will take in the landing traffic, the other runway will take the departing traffic away from the airport. Now LaGuardia has only one runway that they're able to use, and all the planes that are looking to get out of the airport, they now have to use runway 31 to get out of here. That's the biggest problem they're going to have now, so this is going to create a backlog of planes trying to get in and out of the airport. They have to slow down how many airports can come in per hour, or airplanes can come into the airport each hour, as well as how many can depart, so they can accommodate both the departing and arriving aircraft. We'll come back over here along the airport roadway here. You can see Grand Central all jammed up as you make your way through the area here. So the folks at the Port Authority are suggesting that people do their best to check with their airlines before they come in, because not only is this creating a big problem, but there's a forecast of thunderstorms that come through the area later on this evening. And of course, when thunderstorms enter into the equation, they create delays and problems as well. So clearly, if you are expecting to take a flight out of LaGuardia or expecting someone to come into LaGuardia, you want to check with the carrier ahead of time. There will be a massive amount of delays as well as cancellations as a result of that. But again, you can see right now, they're still assessing the situation down here. They brought in the equipment there. You can see the hole that they had to basically enlarge in to see just how deep that hole goes. From this angle, it's a little hard to see. Obviously, we can't get any closer to the airport so that we don't interfere with any of their operations with the one runway that is operating. But again, you can see crews are doing their best to try to figure out how to come up with a solution. No word yet what caused the sinkhole, as far as to why the base of that taxiway fell apart there. But you can see there you have the equipment out here trying to figure out how to get that runway, the taxiway, all fixed up. And you can see it's rather close to the runway where we're sitting here. This is where the planes, if they were departing, would be landing. You can see where all the dark part of the center of the runway is there. That's about where the planes land, depending on the size of the airplane. They do come down here rather quickly, and of course you don't want to have any mishaps with a hole there on the side of the runway there. So obviously, out of the precautionary stance, they want to shut down that runway to make sure they can figure out just how far-reaching that sinkhole is. And again, this all was a result of, or was found during a routine inspection that the Port Authority conducts every morning, and this happened at around 11 o'clock this morning. So again, if you are just joining us, major delays will be are developing here at LaGuardia Airport. A sinkhole found on a taxiway right next to runway 422. And again, this is a north-south runway, one of the 2 runways that are actively in use at LaGuardia Airport. And you can see here, as we bring the camera back out, you have a line of Port Authority vehicles and construction crews trying to figure out what they can do to remedy the situation as quickly as possible. That's runway 4. You can see the big X. That's how they let the traffic know in the air that they're trying to come to LaGuardia Airport. Runway 4 out of commission right now. Planes are not allowed to use that, and of course that creates a big logjam for the controllers here at LaGuardia Airport, who, by the way, were very kind to let us get this close to the runway there as they continue their operations here. We can zoom in with the camera there. You don't see a lot of planes stacked up here yet, but again, they're going to have to cut back on how many planes can come into and out of the airport each hour. So I'm sure at this point they have gate holds going on and not letting too much of the traffic line up until they can get a better way of getting the traffic in control here. So as we watch the planes go here again, we'll gather more information and come back to you in just a few minutes. Okay, how about now? Is that a better sound? Okay, Dan Rice back with you here in Chopper 2, and we'll update you on what we're watching down here at LaGuardia Airport. At about 11 o'clock this morning, Port Authority crews were doing a daily routine inspection on the airport facility around the taxiways and runways when they came across a sinkhole that was over here on taxiway Yankee. We come back in with the camera there. You can see the crews around that sinkhole and the hole that they've now made even bigger now as they try to figure out what exactly caused that sinkhole to form right next to the main runway over on the right side of your video there. Again, about 11 o'clock, the Port Authority brought in their emergency construction and engineering crews to try to figure out what they can do to not only quickly get that sinkhole repaired, but to also safely get that sinkhole repaired. And again, you can see the proximity of that sinkhole next to the runway here. This is runway 4/22. It's a north-south runway that they use for both arrivals and departures. The configuration at LaGuardia is a rather simple one. They use one runway here to take in landings or departures, and the other runway on the top of your video, that's runway 31/13. That one is more of an east-west runway, and that'll take either the other departing or arriving traffic, depending what the other runway is taking. So right now, LaGuardia has no choice but to only use the one runway here, and right now they're set up for runway 31 to do both their departures and their arrivals at the airport here, and of course that creates a major logjam now for LaGuardia Airport. The problem is they can only accept fewer airplanes every hour for both arrivals and departures. And you can see about a half a dozen or so planes in line now waiting to take off, and what will happen is they'll have one airplane land, and then they'll line up this airplane here to get ready for its departure, and they'll just go back and forth until they get the other runway back into operation. And of course, you have to thank the folks at LaGuardia Airport and Air Traffic Control for letting us get this close to the airport. Obviously, we're on the what they would call the arrival end of runway 4. If we zoom back in with the camera, what you'll see now is a big X lit up over the runway number there, and that's to let other traffic in the area know that this runway is now no longer allowing traffic to land or depart from this runway. And the other problem they're going to have here as they build with delays from the amount of cancellations and slowdowns on departures and arrivals is going to be the weather later on this afternoon, because it's expected to have we're expected to have thunderstorms come through the area here later on tonight. And of course, when the thunderstorms come into the equation, they create a lot of delays and cancellations for just the aircraft trying to get into and out of the airport. So these two factors are going to cause a major headache for anybody who's trying to use LaGuardia Airport. If you do have a flight that's going to be leaving here today, or you're expecting a flight to come in at some point, you want to keep a close eye on your carrier and their websites to see what they are what they're experiencing because more than likely there will be cancellations as a result of this, and there will be large delays as a result of the work that's going on over here. And again, this is one of the many taxiways that they use to bring traffic across the airport, to get traffic onto and off of these runways. But of course, it's so close to that runway, it would not be safe to allow traffic to use that for departures or landings. So that's why, even though it's not on the runway specific, they need to keep the runway closed until they can figure out how large that sinkhole is and what the best way is to be able to get the situation back under control over here, as far as being able to fix the sinkhole and being able to make it safe for those rather large airplanes to be able to cross over this area again. And you can see that one worker standing down the hole there, a couple of them down there actually. So even though we don't have a specific number on it yet, obviously it's several feet deep, at least 4 or 5 feet deep it would appear, as you see these workers trying to figure out where the problem is that created that sinkhole next to runway 422. Again, we'll come back out here with the camera here to give you an idea where they are in relation to the runway. And again, if you notice, you can see that dark line that goes down where the white dashed line is that goes up and down your screen. That's pretty much where they land the airplanes. This one's rather close to the edge of the runway there. You can see that arrestor bed at the bottom of your picture there. If they were taking off in the opposite direction or landing the other direction, this would be that bed that would stop the airplane from going over towards the roadways at the end of the runway there. But you can see crews are still out there trying to get this clear, but those dark spots there, that's all the rubber that comes down from these airplanes. And you can see it's rather close to where that sinkhole is, so clearly the runway needs to remain closed until they can get that situation fixed up over there. At the moment, I don't have specific numbers as far as what kind of delays they're experiencing at the airport, but we can see traffic building up a little bit as they make their way through the Grand Central Parkway, through the LaGuardia area. Up top here, the access roadways here to the main terminal, not looking too bad at this point. Traffic not jamming up, getting into and out of the airport. But again, the key here is to be able to go to the websites and to be able to check the status of the flights that you are expecting, whether it's a departure or arrival, because both will have a major impact. And it's an even bigger problem here at LaGuardia Airport because they only have the 2 runways to be able to use for their air traffic. Both Newark Airport and LaGuardia, they have multiple runways. For example, over at Newark Airport, their north-south runway, runway 422, they have 2 of them, left one and a right one. So one of those runways can take departures, as the other one can accommodate the arrivals to the airport. And you also have over at Kennedy Airport, you have 2 twin runways over there, also numbered the same way as here at LaGuardia, 422 for the north-south traffic and 1331 for the east-west traffic. And again, all they'd have to do over Kennedy, if they close down one runway, is just to shift the traffic to a different runway and be able to operate 2 runways at the same time. LaGuardia, unfortunately, just does not have the space to be able to have multiple runways. As a matter of fact, you can see the extension here on the one runway we've been focusing on. They actually had to build a pier to go out over Flushing Bay to be able to accommodate the length of just the one runway here. So space always has been a problem here at LaGuardia Airport, and today obviously a bigger problem now as they can only use the one of the 2 runways that they have at the facility there. And again, we come back in. If you are just joining us online, you can see that we do have work going on at LaGuardia Airport, where roughly 4 hours ago they had to shut down one of the 2 main runways here at the airport for a sinkhole that developed on one of the taxiways that leads out to that runway there. Crews doing their best to try to assess this right now. From what we understand, they're just trying to figure out what caused the sinkhole and the best way to be able to fix the situation down here. Those vehicles there you see coming into the video, those are all Port Authority of New York, New Jersey vehicles. Port Authority of New York, New Jersey, of course, operates this airport, and they're the ones who found the sinkhole earlier a few hours ago, late this morning. And of course, they had to shut down the main runway there to be able to accommodate the repairs, and obviously they want to make sure that that sinkhole doesn't extend where they can't see it, doesn't creep out over here towards the right side of your video going into the runway 422 area. Let's bring the camera back out a little bit to give you an idea where they are on the airport facility there. Of course, you have the old Marine Air Terminal off to the left side. Hasn't been in much use since the shutdown of Spirit Airways. That's that terminal over here on this side of the airport. There you go, over there. We'll move the camera over a little bit more. And of course, over here on the right side is going to be where all the main terminals are for all the other airlines that operate out of here. And of course, for all of them, all they have to do is just make their way over to the one end of runway 31 there. And you can see a couple of the jets lined up, waiting for their turn to take off, and wait for the arrivals that come in as well. You see one plane taking off here, the Delta jet, making its way for departure. And again, usually you have a couple of minutes in between each takeoff to allow for each plane to take off safely. But since they have to allow for the arrivals now, those planes will have to wait even longer in between departures. And that's where we'll see everything start backing up here at LaGuardia Airport. We'll zoom in a little bit. We'll see some of the traffic that's coming in and out of the airport. And again, doesn't look too bad right now as far as traffic at the facility goes for ground traffic. People coming into and from the different terminals, but obviously you want to keep an eye on the websites. That's where you're going to get the information as far as departures and arrivals go with delays. You see the Southwest jet now landing in. You see how it comes down by that first hash mark there. And they'll slow the jet down until they get by the intersection with runway 4 and turn around and come back into the terminal area. But obviously, as that jet is landing, we'll bring the camera back here and we'll show you that now the next one that's in line there looks like a JetBlue plane. It'll wait until the Southwest jet clears the area, and now you can see it moving into its position to take off. But obviously, the orchestration they have to figure out now between the arrivals and departure is the biggest headache for the air traffic controllers here at LaGuardia Airport. We'll come back around here, and you can see as that plane is exiting the top of your screen, we'll come back down to the crews doing their work. And again, you can see that bucket there trying to scrape out what it can of the blacktop there, try to give the workers and the engineers access to the site there to see what it is they need to do to be able to make this taxiway usable again. And again, as they work on that problem over there, you see them huddle every once in a while to try to compare notes and see what they're finding down there and what it is they're going to need to be able to get this runway back and running again. And again, this is only one of two problems for LaGuardia tonight because, as we said before, there is weather expected to move into the area later on this afternoon into tonight. Of course, Lonnie and Scott will have more on that on CBS News New York at 5. But when those thunderstorms do come in, that creates another headache for the airport because normally when we see storms move into the area, they naturally create delays for the planes at the airport. So couple that with one runway being taken out of action, that is going to create major delays and quite possibly more than likely cancellations of flights that are going into and out of LaGuardia Airport. And again, at the moment, we do not have a specific number on the delays. So again, let's take a look at the crews there doing their work. And we can see the heavy machinery there trying to dig out that hole. And to give you one more wrap up of this quick update on it, this is the one runway at LaGuardia Airport, runway 4/22. It is closed to traffic right now, air traffic, because of that sinkhole that you see them working here on one of the taxiways. And as they work on that condition down there, there's no word yet on as to how that sinkhole developed. But a crew doing a routine inspection this morning from the Port Authority found the sinkhole, and as a result, this runway had to be shut down. It's runway 422. It's one of two runways they use here at LaGuardia Airport. And if you look at the top of your video, you see the other active runway that they have here, the east-west runway 13. That is the only runway they now have in operation for both the arriving and departing planes here at LaGuardia Airport, causing delays, possibly cancellations. Of course, weather moving into the area later. Going to be a big mess. If you're heading out to LaGuardia Airport, you definitely want to check with your carrier ahead of time to see if you have any delays or cancellations. And of course, we'll keep an eye on this throughout the afternoon into the evening and absolutely have more information for you coming up tonight on CBS News New York at 5. And again, we'll listen to Lonnie and Scott talk about the weather and how that's impacting the delays here at LaGuardia as well. But as we get more information, we'll bring it along to you. For now, I'm Dan Rice, live in Chopper 2 over LaGuardia Airport.
This has been breaking news.